Well, Penta make their climb from kind of tied there in the middle to be a little closer to the top, but now we get to see the team that is on the top. All Business, who I believe we're 5-1, going to be taking on one Trick Pony here. It's top versus the bottom, but it's a little misleading. That one that All Business has racked up was one Trick Pony. I think it was the first week of play that they were able to find it. But to join me through this set before I get too far into it is going to be Nick Keogh. Pretty hair sitting right next to me, and this one could be really good. It also could be really fast.
I think All Business, they're in a spot where they could be the dominant team in this region. I think they have a ton of talent, right? You look at Bugsy, you look at Unbelievable, and even Madara and Close, like all these guys at some point, they've got a lot of history. There's really not a lot of new faces. And this is what's cool to me, is that it's a lot of people from different areas, different kind of corners of the minor league, never really finding a ton of success wherever they were before, but coming together to kind of form this completely different beast and starting to really gain some momentum here as the top team in Europe.
And I think it's funny because that's the right way to look at it. Unbelievable has a world championship ring. Like, that's the thing that's always, like, I guess, weird and something you have to keep track of here. He was there with Na'Vi for their victory.
Bugsy's coming second twice.
Lazy has come through. Yeah, Bugsy has been on that stage against Unbe in the past, and, well, several times they've been able to kind of fight for that. And together, I mean, they have kind of made this force that I don't want to say is unstoppable, but it kind of seems unstoppable right now in Europe. No one's really been able to kind of hold a candle to All Business. One Trick Pony is the one team that beat them in week 1, but they haven't been able to kind of find that repeat success since then. They haven't found a win, I believe, other than that first one.
Right. This is a team that also has some star power on it. I would say not quite as much as the boys of All Business, but you look at Anja Doodle. He had a great performance, I think, in his stint in the Premier League. His team not overly successful, but he always looked pretty good, I think, at least in my opinion.
Well, they're going to have to see whether or not they can maybe crack this shell one more time, if they have the magic that they were able to pull out in week 1. But before we can get into any of the maps we're going to play, we have to look at the ones that are going to go away. It's Timbermill, Warder's Gate dropped off right here. Frog Isle and Bazaar. So the one chance we had for Frog Isle, it's gone. It's out the window.
I love that. I made the comment, and then I got off of the desk yesterday, and immediately a Frog Isle game was played. It's like, I don't care that much, but it's just weird at this point.
It only comes up when we forget that it hasn't been played for a while. Like, the more we're focused in on Frog Isle, the more likely it's just going to be gone forever. But as of right now, no Frog Isle for this set, along with those other maps. We're going to instead go where the last one ended and start off on Brightmarsh.
It begins where it all came to an end. That was a long one, man. That could have, like I said, that could have gone
like
another
one more
round.
Oof.
And it would have been north of 20 minutes easily, which is a very long game for Paladins. I would say the longest I think I've ever seen is in competitive is probably closer to like 25, maybe 26. Yeah. The longest I've ever played personally was a 30-minute Timbermill ranked game, and I turned my computer off after. I won. I did win it. Thank God. I won it, but I was just like, I've actually had enough of electronics for the day.
You know you won because you just turned your computer off instead of throwing it out the window afterward. Like, if you go through a 30-minute Timbermill game and you lose, like, you don't feel good about it.
I wasn't even happy about it. I was just sorry that I had to be a part of it.
Well, as of now, as Brightmarsh is kicking off, again, probably one of the longer games maybe that we'll see overall. If they had gone one more round, would have hit the max limit, I guess, as it goes forward. But we have Willow, Maeve, Atlas, and Makoa taken off the board. And Ash escalated up to first pick here for OTP.
Well, a very different prioritization, I think, than what we've seen prior.
No Grover first picks.
Maeve bans. Grover was slapping last set. I don't know. that draft on Ice Mines as a whole, it wasn't solely the Grover first pick. It was a lot of other things that, kind of went the way of Sour Team that time. But a Maeve ban here, I think, you're starting to see that valued pretty damn highly, especially when Bugsy's playing. I think he's really gotten into a rhythm with this character. And it's just such a good Bugsy character, you know what I mean? It's such a good solo character. I'm going to get to the backline and be able to heal myself, damage amp myself, get kills by myself, move around the map by myself. It's like I don't really need anybody else to kind of help me, which I feel like is a nice summary of Bugsy's attitude in the minor league. Like, I'm going to do it when I want to do it, and I don't want anybody else to really kind of get in my way or be responsible for my success if I so choose it.
I mean, he has been one of those players, like, for a long time. Like, he'll play whatever he wants
Assuming he's here this week.
Whatever's needed, yeah.
He's like getting married and stuff, so I don't know. Like he's going to be gone at some point for a little while. And he was gone, I think, closer to the start of this phase for the minor league. But he is here this week. I just got confirmation, but
I think
I'm just waiting.
It was unbelievable last week. Who was unable to make it. I think Smutney subbed in for him to be able to come through. We'll have to figure out whether or not, well, who you get to see there. And either way, for all business, it's a strong draft. You get Barrett, Khan, Genos, Cassie, which are 4 champions just in a row that are incredibly strong. Ashe, Leon, Furia, Bomb King, and Nara picked up over here to round out the draft for OTP.
It is wicked strong. It is wicked strong. I will definitely give you that. But All Business also, these are just 2 high fragging, high octane. A lot of people going to be able to do a lot of damage at pretty much any point in the game. Especially you look at All Business and like any one of those could be fragging out at any moment. I love myself a nice Luminary Barrack nowadays. Well,
hey, Luminary Barrack's going to be coming in. I don't think someone clipped that.
I've turned the corner. I've been very clear.
Now that I'm thinking about the sentences just
as long as it's not Architectonics, we're chilling.
We're chilling. Well, hey, Luminary Barrack better than Architectonics Barrack. We'll have to see if in this game he can make it work. All Business with the stronger draft. It's Bright Marsh. Let's jump down to the casters.
Thank you so much from the desk, guys. I'm back. It's me, Fawn, but Nick's there on the desk, so who? Oh, hey, Kresnik.
Oh, what's up, man?
What's up? Hey, I didn't see you come in here for a second.
Yeah, no. You were looking at the wall for some reason.
Yeah.
It's really weird how you psych yourself up, but whatever gets you there, man. Whatever gets you ready to face the day. And head into Bright Marsh here. I find it really interesting of how BK has kind of resurged. Yes, Willow's getting banned, but I feel like the changes to Drogo's kind of open up those alternate playstyles.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like we've only seen him like on a couple different maps. I mean, like we see him every now and again in these maps that have these like close corners areas, but I mean at the same time, he's not as picked as often as like somebody like Willow or in like a couple other characters after the changes.
I mean, there's definitely that hole opened up for him with Willow now being bannable more often. But I find it interesting that again, like that it wouldn't be Drogo's kind of filling that. And this is a good map for him. This is definitely a map where we've seen him quite a bit before, but I just feel like he doesn't win these 1v1s a lot in this current meta. Right now, though, All Business very aggressive onto OTP, and they're actually throwing the Ashe right into the middle of their team, but the perfect peel from Doodle running down mid, and they managed to get the first pick onto Tutu.
Yeah, I mean, they already were holding that flank extremely strong, and now Barrack pretty much has to back off for just a little bit. I mean, he was on the point net at 21% for his team, but he can't hold it as long as he probably would have wanted to. Closer finds the kill into the bit, though, so we're already looking at a 1-for-1 trade, but really, All Business's teammate that just died just ends up coming back in the perfect amount of time, 33%. It's really just this, like, back and forth. Like, they're stepping on point, the OTP stepping on point, then All Business stepping on point, and this is just back and forth that's happening right now.
Yeah, Tutu managed to find Stopping on the side, though, catching him out. And Khan can win those engagements. If it's a 1v1, Khan definitely wins those in a vacuum for sure. Being able to cancel the shoulder bash is huge for that fight. Very, very forward positioning now, and OTP, they're gonna basically have to just throw Doodle into the blender more or less to get him to the objective. Maybe they send Stop Me in instead, but Scout coming in from Closar means that OTP don't have any tricks. They have to just go right in with all that information.
Right, exactly. I mean, the percentage is building for OTP still, but the shoulder bash from Ashe means that they pretty much forfeited that left flank right there, so they're gonna try and move on the point. They do get Hanzo Doodle in this case. The Inara's gone. Bugsy finds the kill. Very well-placed rocket from him is actually going to end up looking pretty good, but through time and space ends up picking off their healer in response. It looks like this fight is to be won for All Business.
Yeah, for sure. And Bugsy putting on a lot of pressure with this combustible. Enlightenment comes in, but misses, hits the wall. Xenos basically picking up everybody in that fight through time and space. 3 for him on the Genos. And I think that was a fantastic change they did to Drogo's in this last patch. Just kind of saying, hey, listen, everyone's running Worm Jets because it just makes you so flexible. So we're just going to give every card, a little bit of Worm Jets.
Yeah.
Worm Jets is now just kind of more Worm Jets.
Yeah.
But now you're able to be so flexible. Also interesting, lung capacity 4, a lot of healing on that Fire Spit, and a great dodge onto the King Bomb. Defit unable to find anything with that ultimate.
That was super good. Just the awareness from Bugsy, being able to make sure he's not in range of that stun. Throws Anjadudo right off the side. Tutu in a very good spot. Good enough to be able to net that kill on Inara and waiting for her cooldown or the guard to be gone. But 4 kills for All Business already. They're rounding up this hill right now. Bomb King being one of the only ones left. Has to wait for his team to come back. They got a seismic crash, but I mean, All Business is not playing around right now.
Having Combustible for this point is going to make it really hard to contest, too. They're going to have to use the TR really early, but it's not enough. A double knockdown. Combustible by Bugsy is going to all but confirm this 100% for All Business.
Oh, my goodness. The awareness and placement from that Fire Spit was so good. They didn't even have a chance to think at that moment. Knocking them both off. You saw Inara use Earthen Guard immediately, but it wasn't enough. She did it just a little bit too soon. That was so good.
Literally, I was in the middle of saying, yeah, the knockback's going to make it hard to contest.
Yeah, and I heard
going to have to use the Earthen Guard just a little bit early as they immediately just go careening off the map. Absolutely no hope. What a play by Bugsy. And this is a person who's been playing Drogos for a pretty long time. I recognize the Bugsy Drogos from a long time ago. So definitely no slouch in the character, and kind of shifting back into Combustible, which was the meta for a pretty long time. After some Fusillade nerfs a very long time ago, Combustible was pretty much what all the Drogos were running, so it makes sense that he would have such laser precision with that ability.
Yeah, I mean, already OTP over here on this flank, they're trying to counteract All Business's push in this case, and we already see All Business is literally, Barrick is flanking all the way around them. Unbelievable, trying to do what he can, but Toot Toot and Unbelievable go down in an effort to try and make an opening for themselves. The rest of the team just backing off, not down the party in that case. They want to give them the respect they need. 23% on the point for One Trick Pony, and with comeback mechanic, I mean, it's going to be a lot quicker that they're going to be able to capture this point.
Luckily for All Business, their tanks died so early that they're going to have a chance to get back in. Bugsy taking out the healer, and closer fighting Stop Me too. Two very quick kills for All Business. Could make this easier. Defit doesn't want to make it that easy.
Wow, 4 kills already for All Business, followed by a 5th. They're going to get the But wait! No, what are you doing?
They were going for it, but the Warder's Field was placed perfectly. They
Was it
couldn't
actually?
get through the slow by Doodle. That was perfect placement by him to deny that. And even though All Business win the fight in a landslide, solo Inara capping the point with a perfect slow makes it impossible for the conversion.
That was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I said, what are you doing? Because it looked like Anar was somehow able to body block all 3 of them, but I mean, the Warriors Field, man. I mean, if you have it, you have it. Nyx is already with the double kill. Bugsy finding an opening onto the Leon in that case. I mean, that's already looking pretty good for OTP. I mean, Bugsy was the first one to be able to try and break that blue kill feed, and they're able to sort of just hold right now. They aren't pushing up too far for a zone, but they are doing what they can in terms of making sure this payload gets off the ground.
I do want to say, I want to go back to the mid for a second, just because I want to say that I think they definitely deserved that mid win with the way they adapted. Defit played very, very defensive on the back left side. They knew they were going to try more tank aggression, and Defit waited passively to completely punish them. So, perfect swing by OTP. Even though they won off the back of Doodle's play, they still got a very, very deserved, I think, mid win. And Closar fighting 3 during that while I was talking. They got a really good boop off the side. Got the kill that way, and they just had Closar swinging from the side and clean everything up.
Yeah, I mean, good awareness from him. Also good positioning as well to be able to not only have the presence of mind to be able to get those kills, finish them off when he needs them, be able to hit his shots, which is the most important thing, of course, when you're playing a damage dealer, you know. I mean, in this case, you do see him up here, just closer by Docs, just trying to make sure no one either comes around on Docs or just to give him good line of sight in this case. 2-2 being over on the right flank as well, firing a few shots into their back line, trying to make sure he's covering that area right there. I mean, they're set up pretty well, and with Bugsy getting the first kill on Nixus, it's going to mean OTP's going to have a much harder time trying to find their way in.
OTP having a rough push positioning here. They're stacking on the opposite side of the map of both ranged characters, and they're just going to get destroyed by Combustible Spit and spammed out by Cassie with no real answer to it. Bugsy goes in and gets some good damage, but goes down himself.
Oh, man.
Albus is finding 2 more, though, in this push.
In that position, Kresnik, if that's the case, if they're on the other side, then where would you position yourself? Would you have opted to try and group up as a team and go Doc side to try and force Closar out of there?
Through the point, maybe, and just try to find the back line.
Okay.
They're just too far from the Cassie to be able to make any reasonable damage onto her when she can get away so easily. You want to not let her roll put her into 100% safety.
Right.
You want to be able to actually punish the positioning from Cassie.
That does make sense. I mean, yeah, here's a replay of Closar. Of course, he gets that boop off the map. Unbelievable's the last one to be able to get that hit. Big game damage coming out, of course. Disengage Bolt, being able to do what he needs to, man. I mean, Closar's in a very, very good spot, very good positioning. I actually want to see, we come back from this replay, I actually want to get a good chance to look at the slash lines for All Business in this case. Yeah, I mean, last time I checked with them, Xenos has not died 3-0-23. That's what I thought. Last time I looked at their slash lines, a lot of them just hadn't died, like, at all. And I mean, they're doing their thing, man. I mean, top damage, both Closar and Bugsy.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well. And close art, I mean, 10-1. This is why we see Cassie and Willow banned. I think people are just remembering that Cassie's very, very good. And the tanks, she's good into the tanks that are good right now. 12-volt off the table means you might see some more DPS bans, some more of those tanks getting through.
Ooh,
and
wow.
Cassie's what you need to deal with them, but they need to find a better way to deal with these through time and spaces by Xenos because they're always finding their targets.
They are, and the high priority targets at that too. Bugsy finding 2 kills, 1 to stop me, 1 on the Nixus. He's looking for a 3rd and Defit. Finds it on him as well. Couple good rockets on Anjadoodle. They're going to make sure that he lowers them, but Xenos is going to finish off that kill. And that's the second time Xenos has had such a high priority through time and space. He has hit their support twice off of good positioning from him.
Yeah, for sure. He's able to find the. It's a lot of the information too coming from his team. That Scout, such an influential ultimate that people don't really talk about very much. It's one of the things that I think makes Cassie so good. Counter ultimate keeps her alive,
Ooh.
but also just lets you apply a lot of pressure. Great size.
Oh, nice, good.
Threading the needle to stun one, but I don't know if they'll be able to find the kill on a 2-2.
King Bomb is trying to come in. He's trying to make sure he can stun, but he went around too much of a long way. 93%, 96 actually. They do get the grab, the overpower onto Stop Me. In this case, Dome Shield has to be dropped. They want to make sure they can actually close this game out. The Enlightenment to come through as well, but it's going to hit the Dome Shield. It's not going to be enough. They find a kill. 2-2 finds one. Close our Bugsy. 3 of them in the name of All Business as well as a win.
Yeah, All Business's ultimates just found their mark.
Yeah.
OTP made an attempt for sure. I mean, that seismic crash was really well positioned. The assert dominance I felt good too, but at the end of the day, Dome Shield on the point, could not deal with it. Enlightenment didn't find what it needed to. King Bomb didn't find it, and All Business take it away.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I mean, I could give a lot of credit to Closar. I mean, I believe when we saw Slashdown, he was like 10-1 or something like crazy like that. You brought up a good point. I mean, the patch being in effect right now obviously means that a lot more bans are open. 81,000 damage for him, 76 for Bugsy. I mean, what else can you say, man? I mean, they were definitely popping off a lot. A lot of triple kills, and just not even the triple kills to highlight, but the positioning. Yeah, 13-1.
Yeah, 13-1 and 12-4 on Bugsy too. And you can see some of that pressure he was doing. The Wormjet's effectiveness being moved into the base kit lets him chase a lot more. You could see Bugsy, old Combustible, maybe would have had to use Propel, use Thrust to go in and chase, but able to just chase down really hard. And this Combustible on this map, very strong if you can get it through those windows, get a lot of cleave damage, and we can see here, this was, I believe, that initial knockoff, both on mount, both not able to react in time, and they drop like a rock. That battering ram adds a lot of gravity to your character and brings you down there real quick.
I mean, to be honest, who would have expected that, honestly? Because, like, they came out. I mean, they were ready for it because they reacted to it. But at the same time, coming right out of that spawn, like, who would have been ready for that?
That's definitely, like, an older kind of thing. Because Drogo's used to be... Combustible used to be the thing. So you'd know when Combustible might be coming in and be a threat to you. Been a while, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
People are definitely going to have to be getting used to that again, because that Combustible knockback is really, really annoying.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it.
Especially as a tank, when you don't really have those, like, bursts of mobility. Barrack maybe, but everyone else kind of doesn't really have much counterplay to that.
Yeah, I mean, really in this case, I mean, you can really just sort of try and consider what All Business could have done to try and find their way around that. I mean, Bright Marsh is a very good map. I mean, you see it a lot where Drogo's comes through, Cassie as well, but already they've got one in the books for him right after this break. We'll be right into Game 2.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins minor league.
Well, All Business find themselves up 1-0, although it was a little more, I guess, contested overall. You got to see 1 point from One Trick Pony. Very, very well played from the Anar to be able to kind of get that objective control and kind of stop everyone from coming at him, but it only gets you so far.
Only gets you exactly as far as it did. And I got to say, we're kind of expecting a pretty confident All Business win here today, and to see some early contest from One Trick Pony on All Business's map in the first game, the strongest, you would assume All Business is going to look at any point in this set is on their first map pick. I think that says a lot for the way this set could potentially go.
Yeah, and as of right now, it's, just genuinely all on One Trick Pony to potentially try and turn it around back in their favor. They weren't able to do it on Bright Marsh, but maybe they will be able to find it somewhere else as we go to Serpent Beach, kind of keeping it in a standard vein, but definitely a different style of play here.
Oh,
and I would also argue, like, for me, Serpent Beach, I don't know why this is, but in my mind, this seems like a really good Bugsy map. And it might just be
You're
because
absolutely
Fnatic
right.
were really
I was
good at
literally
this.
about to bring that up. Part of it is that team history and the types of compositions that Fnatic used to play. They had, for those of you that don't know, they had Bugsy, Tenor, and Fish Echo in their backline. Give that a sec to sink in.
Yeah, that's... Oof.
Nobody was playing off tank. Everybody was just playing damage because they were just that damn good at it. Now, what that led to a lot of times is a lot of mobility. Obviously, frontliners move a little bit slower. You got less frontlines. Tendency is to be you're going to go a little faster. So this led to, Fish, Tenor, they were like the primary blaster, the primary hit scan. So Bugsy really filled into this role of flex. Whatever they needed to play, that's what he was going to play. Maybe he didn't play quite as high octane on their primary picks as Tenor and Fisheko, but the dude could literally play 20+ champions at a PPL level, and that's really where he started to butter his bread. That's his kind of reputation, at least in my mind. That's where he'll go down as probably the most flexible player in Paladins history. Tenor's giving him a run for his money nowadays, but that's always been kind of his thing. He can play anything at a freaking PPL level, and it's going to look good.
Yeah, it's just always been the ever-present threat from Bugsy. That's the only way to really word that one.
Oh, they did ban.
So we'll have to be able to look through. Yeah, they picked it away. The Genos Willow banned away from All Business. Makoa Atlas banned away there from OTP. And you know what? I did get what I wanted with this recent update coming through. No Torvald to be seen. That's important to note. I mean, he got just a nerf to his shield, but bringing him in line more with, well, that guy down there, Genos' damage amp.
Yeah.
Tyra, kind of the same thing. They just brought the numbers down. All of the damage amp across the game is kind of in the same vein, but he's just gone. Except for, I think, Furia. Furia is still pretty up there.
Torvald and Furia is still at 30%, right? So for 8 seconds, still on her ultimate, still strong, still super good. Torvald, he was already not an auto-win condition, right? We'd seen him actually kind of lose in spades. He was really like that snowball win condition. Tyra was already on her way out, still viable. Maybe still gets played in those like triple tank Tyra compositions you see. Really just NIP have done it most recently. It still worked, but it's fallen out of flavor. I think that flavor, that damage amp, a lot of it feels, you can't really counterplay damage amp too much. You can buy Haven, you can buy Blast Shields, you can do stuff like that. But it's not as quite impactful as like a Cauterize or a Wrecker. And let's go Luna. I hear that being locked in as the final selection for OTP.
Yeah, Io. I mean, we haven't seen her. I think on all the games I've seen out of Io, she has won one of them. So it'll be pretty interesting. Is there anything that stands out the most about it?
And in terms of a map that I want to dump Luna on the point so I can have my frontliner to fight in that fight behind the waterfall, obviously that only applies to Serpent Beach, but when I want to, maps I want to dump Luna away. Fish Market, Serpent Beach.
Serpent Beach. Well, hey, they at least get one of those. Maybe we'll see Fish Market after this, and they'll try Io again. It depends on how this one goes here for OTP. They're going to try to keep the streak strong, or at least break the streak of All Business right now.
I mean, it's always good to see Io, of course, for everybody to remember that she did get released in the game. Every now and again, somebody's going to end up picking her, and everybody's going to be like, all right, that character actually does still exist.
Yeah, I heard about the new character Dredge that's going to be coming out
soon.
I really hope we get a chance to see what his kit looks like. But Io here is weird. For my sake, I get what Nick is saying was smart. Yes, you'll put Luna on point, push across, but it really is all just on, I think, going to pocket the Inara to make it across that distance. Also, potentially grab Eevee or Maeve in on a dive, but neither of those characters really want to stay in. It's going to have to be a really big mindset swap for both of those players playing flanker. 25% DR is big, but it's not so big that small of a health pool can stay alive that long on the point.
I mean, yeah, we already see the Io's going around on the flank, which is really, I see your face, Kreslik. That's about the same face it is that I'm making. She's being the one that's the aggressor in this case. Obviously having that pocket, and Furia's over there with her actually. They're both just really on the side. Defit actually gets a kill on the Xenos, which that's already looking good for OTP, but he does get picked off by Bugsy. A good couple shots from Closar onto that Anar are going to leave him looking real low and a little bit more than shook in this case. Unbelievable goes down though. A good placement on Luna is going to allow them to get the stun onto Toot. And really, this is very interesting. Closar gets the kill, but I mean, like can you understand why they're doing this, Chris? Like they sent Io around on the side. Really, they sent Eevee and Maeve to try and contest that bridge on left of point.
I get why, but I don't think the Moonlight healing is going to be enough to make that work. The DR is going to be pretty big, but what they're doing is they're sitting in that side trying to just buy time.
Okay.
And they're like, oh well, Furia Io, that's a lot of damage and a lot of sustain. We can use a bunch here, but don't have great line of sight onto their tank on the point to keep them alive in the first place. Cassie and Leon are just going to be surrounding, and they're great at anti-flanking, and your only DPSs are flanks. Bugsy takes down Stop Me, positioned by All Business on the high ground because it's not being contested at all by OTP.
Yeah. Wow, man. I mean, they really just go straight on for Io. Nixus ends up going down. Defit and Anjadoodle are going to have to find a way at least to touch. I mean, if it was anybody that was going to try and find a way, it would definitely be Eevee in this case. She gets routed to the point, causes the overtime, so it allows Stop Me to be able to make his way back. That much is for sure. He goes in, heard the inflame, ends up being popped. Definitely we're communicating now with enlightenment to come through from Bugsy, but Luna's right behind Anara at this point. Seismic Crash as well. A lot of these ultimates being used in these very first few engagements. Dread Serpent as well to make sure they can find some type of opening, but an Overpower is going to net the kill for them onto the pit.
Rougher All Business that have both their tanks kind of stacking on point. They need to find a kill onto one of their backlines now, but everyone else is just hiding, and OTP do manage to capture the objective kind of in the face of it because of that. They needed to have more pressure on the sides, but both tanks, Ash Khan just standing on that objective.
I mean, that was a really, really close mid-fight. I guess, you know, I don't mean to keep like continually asking questions forever, but the thing is I'm genuinely curious, how do you see this team scaling later on in the game when the bulldozers start coming online and such, especially for All Business? Like, how does OTP try and do that? Because
they weren't really using Luna to cap that much.
Right, exactly.
To be fair, it was mostly on Stop Me, and I think they'll just be able to play a little more in the open. But the sustain is definitely going to go down. Great air shot, actually, from the Eevee onto Unbi while he was trying to land. Denies him landing from the assert dominance, but All Business still have great positioning here, and we all know how hard it is to take this map, even with two vertical flankers.
Yeah, I mean, Closar, both Cassie and Khan are both up there. Closar and Toot in this case, up on the bridge, trying to fire down onto OTP, but they don't want to give them the position or the satisfaction of getting the kill. Unfortunately, Nixus just being in a bad spot just ends up getting killed in that case, which is going to allow All Business to really set up shop. They're already in a good spot, but now they're able to watch a bunch of these openings for OTP to try and come through.
One thing I actually don't know, and this is just kind of I haven't played IO a lot on this map. Can she get up top with Lunar Leap? I think she can. There's one spot I think she can, but otherwise I don't know if it has the distance without the low grav card. It would make taking upper a little bit more interesting, but it looks like she's going to mostly be on the ground playing around her Inara. And yeah, that's what I was saying. The 25% DR isn't enough to keep these low health pool characters alive. Everyone's just falling even through the healing.
I mean, Surrette's went down, Nix's went down. I mean, the Eevee ends up going down. I mean, like, it's in matters like this where you really start to wonder. I mean, Gore brought up a good point. Literally one time Io has been picked. I mean, out of all the times it is that she's been picked, she's only won once. We already see that All Business are getting, like, they're in their position, but OTP is having such a hard time trying to get in.
To be fair, though, this is Serpent Beach on attacking the capture, right? Attacking the payload push. It's very hard. And any comp, this comp definitely seems to be more suited towards the mid where you can flank a lot more easily. They have this chance to take upper with both these flankers. Again, they have double vertical mobility, but there's just so many angles you have to cover, and having two anti-flank champions on either side will be huge, but doesn't matter if one of them goes down. Doodle finding Closar, gonna go down himself, but Spawn's actually being sided for All Business is going to make this a little bit easier for them.
Yeah, I mean, the daggers are coming through from Defit up on this bridge, but he's eating a lot of damage from Toot. Storm Bullets playing such a huge role. Gets both of the flanks. A good presence onto the Anara is going to be enough to make sure they actually get this kill, especially when they confirm and really want to go all in like that. It's going to force the Furia to back up as well. Eevee tries to go in. She blinked right past to try and touch, but it wasn't enough. Bugsy gets the kill onto him, onto Anjadoodle. I mean, man, it's going to be really, really difficult. I mean, like, 4 and 5 for Defit, 2 and 5 for Nixus, 5 and 3 for Anjadoodle. No kills for Surretts, of course. I mean, like 7 assists in this case, 2 and 3 for Stop Me. But on the flip side of that, all business is looking, they're sitting pretty right now.
Yeah, their slash lines are looking pretty solid. Damage-wise, I find it interesting that the Eevee is so close to the Leon. I mean, Doodle used to be a very, very good blaster in the PPL. Down here in the PML, switching roles as well, he's putting on still a fantastic performance. Can't forget that this guy was such a good flex player in that role. I think this is going to get tougher significantly for OTP now that ultimates are online. Assert Dominance and Overpower being up is going to make this mid-fight significantly easier for all business, and they don't really have super influential ultimates. I mean, they have the Inflame Midnight, execute if they want to use that, but Be Gone is not great to hit. It's not very easy, and you're going to be so far away from everyone on this map that you're kind of only going to be using it for, like, what you would use a Damba stun for, like a point blank, get him out of here. Maybe counters the Assert Dominance, but they're going to smartly not use that right in his face.
Yeah, they have to, because to make sure they actually don't end up losing this point. But the wall ends up coming through, not going to net them any more damage than they have to afford to let them have it. I mean, the Overpower comes through, throws them right into the wall. Daggers come out. Surretts ends up healing up Maeve to make sure she doesn't die from that. Dread Saber a little bit too late. The Be Gone is used as well, but it doesn't actually net anything on the Bugsy, but they do find the kill still. And I mean, yeah, I mean, OTP definitely won that mid-fight, and now they have a zone going.
It was a great Overpower, but it was used during the mid-fight. So he was like, guys, I got Maeve, and everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
I can't hear you over this darkness in the game. So they had no way to follow up on that kill, unfortunately for them. Unbeef finds the first pick onto Nixus, so Luna not having the point anymore, 93%, plus they got a contest up. All business could flip this if they find good focus fire, but OTP is pretty well positioned around the point.
Yeah, I mean, they're throwing out the daggers. I mean, Defit is trying to get these shots onto Tutu, but I mean, the Inflame comes through. They really want to be able to use that point even when they don't have that many members on their team left. A wall. Now, here, did that wall actually knock Khan off?
No,
of
the
her?
Pyro Strike did.
Okay. I was about to say, because it looked like it bounced him up and off of Anara, but I mean,
even if that did happen, if he wasn't CC'd, he would have just continued the throw animation on top of the wall.
Okay.
And Anara would have just been like pulled into her own wall, like what?
Yeah. Okay.
But that's just how it happens when he's not CC'd out of it. Midnight, another one charged for Defit as they try to take this back in.
Ooh.
Bugsy finds the first pick though, but both tanks
Wow,
on all business
man.
so low. This has been the story of these mid fights.
Here we go already. Stop Me with a double kill, and Doodle's going around trying to get a kill on Bugsy. The ice block just at the right time for Defit. Come around that corner, help out his flank brother, and in this case, I mean, now they're going to be able to try and control this high ground and get this, I mean, not really get a zone, but really just keep them as far back into their base as they can, especially on Serpent Beach.
And they need to do that for sure. I think what they're going to do is have Close-Art play here, maybe put one of their tanks with him, and Bugsy will probably play a little bit further back just to see the bridge angle and kind of deny that flank. He also might be playing up at Torch. Just options for positioning on this map, because there's so much you can do on the defense here. A very flexible map for that. Great shot by Doodle, chasing down Close-Art up top. That first pick going down means that upper area is pretty free as long as they can do it Tutu.
Done. Coming out from Luna, a couple good shots from Nixus are going to allow the CC to actually end up going through. And really, Tutu's really one of the only ones that's left alive at this point. That's really just up that far. The rest of them are pretty much backing up. Dread Saber to come through, Inflame to follow up as well. And I mean, there's no one around for them to really just try and pressure except for Bugsy in the back. A good direct shot of Ice Block to block it. Defit comes straight from behind, throws out the daggers. Another good air shot coming out from Doodle. Direct hit right onto Unbelievable as he's ulted.
Defit up top trying to get onto Close-Art. Close-Art barely gets away, but they only have 2 off tanks that have to contest the point. And Ash is respawning. Khan very dangerously low. He goes down. No one can contest the objective, and OTP convert.
Yeah, I mean, I asked a little bit before. I was like, do you sort of see this falling off, so on and so forth? But I mean, how OTP's playing this, man, I mean, I like it. I'm completely okay if it ends up with another win in Isle's book.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was kind of on the back of all business not really using their ultimates properly. Again, that Overpower was just, it was a great shot. Blind onto a Maeve during a midnight, but everybody else was blind too. And no one was able to find that follow-up kill. Just also great play from Defit and Doodle on these flankers. It is a lot of pressure on them. I mean, you're playing it basically into 2 AA turrets.
Right.
You're playing Ace Combat without destroying any defenses in the enemy base. Like, you're having to deal with all this backline pressure, and they're doing it wonderfully. I think Bugsy's doing a good job laying down the damage, but their movement is just really hard for Close-Art to find these shots on.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely moving, smoothing as I would call it. I mean, in this case, they're trying to make sure that they're finding their openings, and they definitely are. I mean, they're already up here on this bridge to Fit, going all the way around, but he really wants to try and focus fire onto Unbelievable. He's really the only one there and overpowered, but it just barely misses in this case. Wall to go up. They're getting good shots onto onto the Anara, but it's still not enough because she really just ignored it. Seismic crashed directly up there to try and get her team up there as well.
Here's the problem, they weren't surrounding them at all. Like,
exactly.
they were just sitting up top and letting their comp work. They need to take this ground and not let this Anara just free cap the point. They need to take multiple angles and deny the point of views that the IO can take to heal. Because of that now, OTP have control of the point. Doodle is still pressuring him on the side, but he has to be so careful because Bugsy is still there. No matter what, Leon is always going to be counterplaying against this Eevee.
Nice blink in, tries to get out, but Bugsy actually just ends up sniping him right on the way back to Wormhole, knew where he was coming from, so pretty much just pre-fired in that location. A good couple shots from close. They're looking to try and get a kill in the defend. Tutu really just using the Storm of Bullets as of its ability. Battle shot to come through, but Midnight's already there. Dread Serpent as well. They want to be able to counteract what it was Defend was trying to set up, but Anara still on this point, not giving it up. A good stun from Nixus, find a good couple shots from that arrow is going to be enough to make sure that they still buy themselves a little bit more time.
Yeah, so much sustain from both of the healers. It's really tough for them to break through. I guess the Cauterize just not consistent enough across these tanks. Stop me on the point, just unkillable with the combined healing power from both of them. And Unbi's going to do his best, but this is not what Ashe is meant to do. Seismic Crash somehow doesn't connect, but Unbi still goes down.
I mean, the Inflame ends up coming out. They're trying to keep them off of the point. They're trying to find their way in, but OTP, man, that's the kind of stuff I like to see. I like to see the new character being brought out with a new strat that we haven't seen before, and it works.
Yeah, and it really kind of caught me off guard with how they decided to do it. I feel like All Business definitely could have counterplayed it a little better, taking a little bit of ground up top, but props to OTP. I mean, they figured out a strategy with these healers, made it work, made VV into their counter classes, but the other side of the map was just so in their favor, couldn't lose.
I mean, they were holding those flanks extremely well. I mean, it was hard for them. Like, you brought up a good point. So it's like going into two anti-air turrets, right?
Yeah.
Just trying to fire in onto both Maeve and Eevee, and you already see it right here. They still did good despite that. 94,000 damage, 88,000 damage, and it really was up to them to be able to try and make an impact this game.
They both managed to outdamage Closar, and they were just not uncontested because they were very contested, but they just found their openings really well. Xenost also put up a really respectable performance, I think, sustain-wise, but the story of not having a point tank, not having that ability to contest as long as they needed to, just kind of did not pay off for them. Gotta say, huge props to Doodle, too. I mean, he just flexed from, I think he was on Anara last game?
Yeah.
To Eevee? Yeah. That's a very big swap, at least in mentality, you know, but going back to that the old role he's used to playing and still being able to play the way he did, some really good air shots, some really good just rotation potential, but the story's got to be the IO.
It has to be. I mean, we don't ever see this character, and when she's brought out, most of the time she hasn't had too good of a record. But in this case, I mean, you definitely see she's able to apply these shots, she's able to shoot, and really just stay behind this corner. They were given so much healing, and we saw it towards the end. Combine Furia with IO, that pocketing DR, along with the burst healing it is that Furia can have, and that Anara didn't die.
Yeah, it was too hard for them to go through. They couldn't burn her down. I think they didn't really have... They had the burst in the Cassie, but they were dealing with the flank so much that both those tanks were never going to burn through an Anara. Just waiting for the DR cooldown. They could knock her back, walls herself off, going to get DR back, and you're never going to get through that. Overpower had to connect, but it never did. I
mean, in this case, Serpent Beach already in the books. They've been able to tie up the score 1-1, but right after this game, we'll be right into Game 3.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Minor League.
Well, they're looking like they're poised to maybe take some control back in through it. I mean, I mentioned going into that one that Io has not had necessarily the best streak of her life in terms of competitive games. And, well, OTP decided to kind of show me what she can do in the right hands.
And it's hard to say that, especially watching that last team fight play out, that it was even overly due to like the uniqueness of what Io brings. What Io brings is the fox that captures the point, pushes the payload, guys. So whenever I kind of like look at breaking down Io's impact, I really try to look at that and see, was that an element of it? Another thing that I actually think is pretty big for Io is the fact that she's not a Chronos-based healer, or cooldown-based healer, so she doesn't need Chronos is the better way to say that. So you can go straight in other offensive items and stuff, and I think that's not a very overt impact she has on the game, but I think it is one that really makes her a unique character.
Just being able to watch that, having all of that go into the Inara, it's like two forms of healing going into that Inara. That Ashe and Khan.
What character didn't need more HPS and damage reduction?
I mean, Ashe and Khan were just sitting there like, it's 99%, and they're like, well, we have to keep touching or else we lose this game. We're just going to chip at her as best we can, like throw anything and everything, and Inara is just like, come at
That
me.
Inara was getting pummeled at the end, but her health bar wasn't moving, and I was just like, shoot somebody else. Anybody else.
We'll have to see if...
we got to handle the cause here, not really the symptom.
Maybe OTP can do it again. That's kind of what I'm curious about. Is we go to Splitstone Quarry. I want to know if that IO kind of quote-unquote strategy is going to happen on maybe more maps, if it's going to be something that's very solid behind Inara, or if maybe it's just going to, be one and done. So now we'll maybe see that as we go into picks and bans for Splitstone Quarry. Torvald yanked out of picks and bans, and Genos has taken his spot right now, at least for today, down there in that ban
It seems
position.
that way. You're right. You're actually. I didn't really think about it that way, but that's the most impactful thing about Torvald being gone is that he was not. While he wasn't necessarily an auto win button, he was pretty much permaban. Still, I don't really quite understand why. We've had some healthy discussions, I think, in the past couple of weeks in the green room about why when you ban this character, you pick this character. But with him just being gone, it really does do a lot to fluctuate picks and bans, and new stuff is going to be making it through. It's almost every draft that Torvald affected. So with him gone, almost every draft has to look different at every level of play. PCL doesn't really mess with Torvald too much. But I think every other league is going to feel that impact.
And as of right now, I mean, you're kind of seeing Leon into the ban phase down there. Willow, Maeve, Barrick all locked in on top of it. And Maeve, Barrick, I mean, when it comes down to it on pretty much any map, this is a very, very good start as of late. Maeve has been very prominent. The only one maybe on Splitstone Quarry I've seen do her job better is Eevee.
Yeah, she's a really big part of it. That's where the conversation has been almost as, for me, as polarizing as talking about snipers on Frog Isles or Timber Mills. How you actually have to pick around that, and the whole food chain and ecosystem revolves around those two. And given how OTP performed with the Maeve Eevee last game, having them getting it again here is really kind of a scary proposition. If there was ever a map, Serpent Beach is close, but if there was ever a map you really wanted to have that type of mobility hanging over your opponent's head, for me, it's here.
Well, they grabbed the Fury again, and we had mentioned it last time, but I think it bears repeating. With everyone else now at 15% damage amp kind of on there, either with Tyra's marks, Genos buff, and Luminary, or Torvald bubble, Furia is the only sole source of anything higher than that, with Inflame being at 30%.
Pretty much the only one that didn't get touched. I still think Honey Party is strong and consistent and still does what it does well. I don't think 10% amp breaks what that mechanic. I think the Tyra Hunting Party was unique because it was from all sources. Anyone on your team doing stuff to that target would get that damage in. That's neither here nor there. I don't know we'll be seeing as much Tyra. She was already on her way out. In my opinion, pretty kind of vanilla-ish draft here on Splitstone Quarry for all business. I think the one with the mobility, flankers are always a little bit more difficult to execute. It's like if you can, but if you don't, then they win by default sort of win condition, I think, for all business. How they deal with all of this mobility and these triple DPS, it's going to be tough. But again, if you don't win with these high-octane comps, then you just lose.
Well, OTP win the last one. They're going to try to win this one. They got double flank. They've got double blaster. Let's jump down to the casters and see if they can do it.
We'll have to see who really comes out on top of this map on Splitstone Quarry, but my bet, personally, is I always believe that, especially the team with the Willow, especially on Splitstone, will come out on top, personally.
And Cassie, too, on that side. So even though the Cassie had the worst performance last game, Cassie and Willow both kind of looking like they're going to be a force, I think, in this new meta as we come into it. But you can't ignore OTP's composition. Triple DPS, this has always been, I think, one of the better maps for it. What they're going to do most likely, you can't stay in the air quite as much anymore, but they're going to have their Drogos most likely hovering just around the corner next to the point on their own side of that building, exclusively spamming the point, and just going to try to turn that point fight in their barrack state. That's what it's going to have to end up being, because that's the whole point of this. You surround and you melt the objective and get that. So most likely Eevee on her own, and then Maeve and Drogos specifically focusing on Untitled.
Yeah, I mean, the Salvo ends up coming through, trying to challenge as many people as he can, of course, looking at Poet, looking at the bridge as well. He's firing a couple shots, a lot of good shots onto the Inara, but they haven't built any percentage. 63% on the point. It's the first time Inara decides to back off and afford to give them a little bit of space. They've built enough, so they're just forfeiting it for a little bit.
Yeah, they expected, I think, the damage to be a little bit more for them, but Drogo's kind of inconsistent fire on B gets a lot of cap time. They're finally moving into contest now, but so hard in the face of a Willow, but Doodle actually chases down Unbi, gets him down. It is traded out, but OTP managed to maintain the cap time.
Doodle finds a double kill for himself, is really just moving around as much as he possibly can. Jumps in there, jumps right back out thanks to Wormhole. It's not going to be enough, though, of course, because 2-2 ends up getting the kill. Closar finding one onto Defid as well, and now they're just going to end up focus firing directly on the Barrack. Almost knocks him directly into the fidget spinners.
He had the same reaction we did. It was such a late dash. He was like, I'm fine, I am not fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Immediately at the last second. Inflame coming in to try to make something happen, but unable to find anything, actually. Only 2 people on OTP go down. Aggressive push, but it's taken down immediately.
Yeah, Nixus tries to go into the back line, at least trying to open something up for his team, at least as all business is getting this point capture, but he goes down almost immediately. Closar and the rest of them, of course, pretty much opening up the floodgates to be able to just push forward. Of course, you see Bugsy literally watching this, staring out of his room, just firing at some individuals on OTP's side. But I mean, they're really just trying, they're hiding behind a lot of the corners, but did you see that? Just Maeve just jumps all the way over along with the Eevee. And they just completely annihilate them.
It was a great dive by them. That's kind of what they have to do with this double flank. I like the idea, by the way, of the double flank, but man, I can't help but feel like they're like, this win game. Now we win game again with double flank.
Yeah.
It's not always the case.
Right.
You know, there really is a lot more to it, and I feel like the fact that their point fight on Serpent Beach was almost unbeatable. With that Inara being basically unkillable, that led to their last win. I feel like they're kind of trying to ride that momentum, and it might end up biting them in the end, especially with this Fate Flight coming in from Closar without a real way to deal with it outside of the Drogo's Dragon Punch mosquito squash. I try to get words out.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to say Despacito or something.
No, I was not going the Despacito route, but wherever your headspace is, I'm actually all for it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Closar and the rest of all business, of course, being able to push up. Seismic Crash and Overpower are both really, they're both available. They don't really have to use them, but OTP, they're the ones with all the ults online, man. I mean, of course, they're in here in the mine shaft with Bugsy and 2-2 trying to do what they can, but just holding up his shield to make sure Bugsy can actually get out of there. But they're literally being pinched from different angles right now. Of course, Barrack trying to make sure he can find a way in, as well as the Drogos, and they get the kill on the Cassie. But Unbelievable finds one onto their healer, and now they're trying to flood in to this little space right here, but I don't know if that's a good idea to go against somebody with rockets.
Feels like a zombie apocalypse situation. They're all just barricaded in the mines, waiting for everyone to flood in from the doors, and unfortunately for them, does not work this time. Unbi will most likely not be able to get away, but there's enough time for another fight if they choose to do it. All the ultimates up on OTP, so if anything, all business should do it just to force something. If OTP feel pressured enough to use Ice Storm, Dome Shield, anything like that, it's a win for them. It's not like they're going to be giving them more ult charge by taking this fight.
Right. Exactly. I mean, in this case, of course, Bugsy and 2-2 pretty much sticking together for most of the part. Just making sure they hold this mine shaft right here. They're literally just firing out, but I don't think they're really feeling any pressure to make sure they can actually push in this point. I mean, of course, we do have that the Inara is on. They're going to push it. They're going to push in. A couple good shots onto Barrack. They're already looking pretty good. Shio goes down, but they still have all their ultimates. OTP doesn't really want to use their ultimates near the end of this round. They are pushing in, though. The in-flame actually comes out. That would be one of them. It is they opt to use in this case. Nixus gets 2, and in my personal opinion, just like you were saying, that's a win in the book for All Business.
For sure, All Business, that this is a tough point to push, especially against that Drogo's just sitting directly above whatever door you have. The fact that they use the in-flame even with a 2-pick advantage is massive for them. It's going to make this a lot easier because that dive potential we saw earlier from One Trick Pony, they're going to really have to play on that to make these pushes work. In-flame, you know, that's just 30% less of a chance of that dive to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, right now, of course you see Ange Doodle doing what he does, of course, on the Eevee. Really just using that mobility to not necessarily not only the best of his ability, but just making sure he's playing her at optimized capacity. Just blinking in, firing the shots, and of course getting right back out. That's what you see Eevee do all the time. In this case, the slash shots are looking pretty okay for All Business. I mean, they're looking kind of okay. Looking a little bit better for OTP, though, I would argue.
Look, I mean, that's kind of what's going to happen
Right.
after you have a kind of rough attack. Even if you technically have the advantage because of the credits, you're not going to have the prettiest slash lines constantly running into that. And OTP trying to set up on a dive somewhere. Doodle has to be closer because Maeve can cross a little bit more of a distance. They always want the wormhole to be somewhere safe, but Tutu's pressuring him a little bit. Dragon Punch trying to equalize that, but I'm not sure who it's going to find. And it does find Unbe, though. That's the best target. OTP now can control this point and try to set up this around for the next push. And the overpower doesn't connect. Oh, it does actually onto Nixus.
Nice.
So great by them. 4v4, but OTP still have point control.
Yeah, I mean, getting that pick onto Inara was absolutely huge. Them finding that now, you see that Tutu's really here by himself. Both the Drogos, the Barrack, the Eevee really just all looking at him, trying to focus fire, force him out of that little room right there. Good healing coming out from Grover is going to keep him is going to make sure that he's able to stay in this little room with the lava. But the Faithfly ends up coming out. They definitely want to be able to capitalize on this opportunity.
Perfect timing by the Whirlwind, actually, to keep him alive from that pressure. A lot of Grovers might have wanted to hold on to it there, but spent to keep himself alive, and that healing staying with his team is going to be huge for All Business. Great positioning by them now is being able to spam down onto the point. Willow so hard to deal with, I think, with the combo that OTP has, and that might be actually a little bit too forward for it. The DR from that Flutter is good, but it's not great. Does live for a while and kites back from the Eevee, but Doodle does find the pick in the end.
That was a good in-flame as well to capitalize on that opportunity. They, of course, go in, make sure that they actually utilize the ultimates it is that they feel like dropping, and Eevee really is just up there trying to stall as long as she actually can. I mean, she's not, no one's really trying to go up there to try and contest her or pressure her in this case, but she is there, is available to be able to be picked, but she blinks in right into the Grover. The ice block is going to be enough, which is good, it's going to keep her alive, but they don't get the kill onto him. Unfortunately, Closark finds it, and Tutu, they get rid of both of the flanks. Defin finds the kill onto the Grover, finally, but it's not enough.
That was such a brilliant use of that, of just body blocking from Tutu to keep his Grover alive was phenomenal, but that damage reduction card on Blossom was almost exclusively what kept him up. He would have died 100% without that card on the Grover. And it did so much. You can see running into 3. Just that 3 points made them win that fight, I think. On the back of that, so much sustain that he's gaining from that. And now All Business, they even got past that first kind of difficult choke point. They're around this corner. They can't really hold that forward because of the triple DPS composition. OTP have to rely, I think, on the next couple set of bridges if they want to hold this cart.
So axes are coming out, throwing up literally at many spots as it will allow him. The dead zone gets dropped down onto Barrack. A couple of good primary fires right onto him. Really looking really low. Defit ends up really using that, but he felt like he was in too bad of a spot. If he would have came around that corner, probably would have gotten focus fired, so he opts to cancel in this case. Backs off all the way into spawn, firing rockets with the fadeaway shots, of course. And Bugsy, does Bugsy know that Eevee is right there?
He knows he's behind. Doesn't know exactly where he is. Probably also heard the jumping noise from the Eevee.
Oh, good point, yeah.
Then every time she's jumping around there. And Midnight's making it really hard for Bugsy to find her, but Doodle just enough shots left in the tank to find that. 2, make it 3 for One Trick Pony. Is making this defense easy for them.
Okay, 4 kills already with Tutu being one of the last men standing in this case. Of course, they're going to stagger him out a little bit. Just wait. Then, of course, they're going to end up firing just when his teammates are about to end up rounding that corner just to make sure they don't have access to both of their front lines.
Yeah, good stagger, I think, timing by them. Fit playing back here. They need to be able to set up this around, and this is going to be a very tough area for All Business to go through because they don't really have a fantastic way to shoot at the Drogos, and he's just going to be able to sit above whatever door the Cassie's coming out of, more than likely, because she's realistically the best one to deal with him. So what they're going to do potentially is sit back and try to poke and maybe get this Drogoz a little low before they get close. Or they can just send 2 straight in and go to half health immediately. But either way, I expect them to take this just a little bit slower to try to get the DPSs weak, or at least find a pick before they move in. Because a lot of squishy targets in OTP if they meant that they could find that pick on.
About 4 ultimates online for All Business, 3 online for OTP in this case. And I mean, the shots are fired directly onto this Mave, but they got 2 kills, 3 for Bugsy already. 2-2 finds one of his own, and already with a triple kill, a quadra kill. Excuse me, Bugsy. I didn't mean to misconstrue information like that. You ended up getting a quadra kill. Congratulations to you and All Business for being able to push that one out.
Yeah, they slowed it down, and they didn't play into the Drogos quite as much. By leaving that gap, leaving that big distance between them and the double flankers of One Trick Pony, they have to use a lot of abilities to cross that gap. If you make it so an Eevee has to blink and then soar before she gets onto the target, not only is she vulnerable for that much longer with that low of a health pool, but that's another cooldown she has to wait for before she goes back in. She has to wait for that timer to go out. So they take it slow. They find the first pick. Defit panics a little bit. Then he gets picked by Bugsy, and it just snowballs straight away for All Business.
If I'm OTP in this case, Chris, how would I want to open up this fight to be able to make sure that we can actually win this? What would they need to do to make sure they don't end up losing this next mid fight?
I think if they catch Xenost alone, it could work, but he has so many blues and DR in his loadout that it's going to be tough to find that.
Right.
I think OTP maybe just need to get a good Dragon Punch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They need to get that execution of some kind, but if the execution's coming in for All Business first, it's going to be real tough.
I mean, yeah, the overpower already to make sure they get rid of Nixus, and he's going to try and go in there, try and get it, but the battle shout to make sure that he's still alive manages to turn himself around and get the kill on the 2-2, but Bugsy makes sure he cleans that up for his fallen friend in that case. Axe is being thrown out. In terms of Xenos, of course, he's landing a couple of them, but he's really just here to try and provide that healing, but misses the Vine Grip. That's going to be pretty huge, but he does make it back up on the high ground to keep himself safe.
If they can land an Ice Storm on him, Doodle can get in and get an Ice Storm when he's separated. This could work, but he's too close to the rest of his team. Faith Flight coming in now, going to make it very tough to survive on the point. Seismic Crash 2 to stop the Barrack from dome shielding, but he does it the last second.
Wow.
No flame turrets means they can kite in and out.
Right.
And the Whirlwind means they have to back up, but they have the point time. One Trick Pony could just play this slow and burn the objective.
A really good Ice Storm, of course, could be the defining factor as well, especially on who odds to do the... Oh, never mind. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Well, I said Ice Storm, but it doesn't really matter because he ends up getting killed in that very brief amount of time. It is. I actually bring up his name. However, Nixus is up here on the high ground, of course, throwing out a few other daggers onto Bugsy, but he's in a good spot. It's really hard for them to really try and contest this. I mean, it's really hard for Maven to really try and peek out and get what she needs to, of course, without there really being much contesting.
Yeah, the reason why triple DPS usually plays backlines is because they have to be able to burn a target, but this double flanker just not paying off for All Business.
Yeah.
Paying off for One Trick Pony.
Yeah.
They try to go in, just die on that point, that objective touch. They don't have anyone that can contest it. Stop Me dies too early.
I mean, it's a very good seismic crash to open up, and of course, getting rid of that flame turret was really important. They got rid of it so quickly, it allowed them to be able to pretty much flood point, focus on that Barrack, or at least force him off of it. And Bugsy didn't seem like he was in a good spot because he was in a very open area, but it was hard for Maeve to really try and go out there and throw out those daggers without her being focused fired by his teammates because they were watching there too.
Yeah, keeping a distance between you and the flankers is a really big way to deal with them. Just again, force them to use more cooldowns, especially on Maeve, where her damage reduction is usually linked to her mobility. If you can make her burn that, then it runs out faster, so you have a better chance to win that duel. You can tell the damage is sided mostly towards One Trick Pony, but the sustain, so much sustain with All Business without a Naricon Grover.
Yeah, 76,000 for Mr. Bugsy, 60,000 for Closar, and of course 163,000 from Grover. You mentioned it before, that's already a pretty good... That's a good look for Grover already. Being able to outheal that Furia, and it was just too much for them to be able to handle, even with the amount of cauterizes they had. A 2-4 and 22, 11 and 5, and of course, slash lines are looking pretty good all right. Even with Closar, I mean, Closar was definitely hitting his marks. Dead zone always plays a factor, no matter how bad that Willow is doing, unless she's just like hinting and it's like 0-20.
Yeah, for sure. And across All Business, I felt like 2-2 was doing a really good job of locking down the flankers, just constantly being able to pressure them. This consistent hit scan makes it so tough for Maeve or Eevee to last continue to win. This was that crazy peel by him, blocking enough to buy enough time for that. The DR from the Grover kept him alive. Yes, they lost him to the Drogos in the end, but he immediately turns. This is what your off-tank has to do. Be able to be flexible enough to turn back and heal, while also still applying that pressure to the people that need it, getting those squishies low. It's such a good, strong part of Khan's kit.
Yeah, I mean, this was the opening that we were literally just talking about. Well, had to be able to find a good pick, but That opening was way too strong. Getting that early first blood onto Nixus in that round, just missing it, just like a little bit, just barely. I mean, in this case, just by a hair. If they would have gotten that Dragon Punch off a little bit earlier, it could have been a different story. But I mean, they definitely played it really well.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like OTP played, I think, the best they could have. But again, they kind of forced the double flank.
Right.
Like, they won it last game, and they're like, guess that's how we win games.
Yeah.
And it just has to be set up a little different. Point fight had to be a little bit stronger, just a little bit too much to stay on All Business' side.
Yeah, I mean, that much is for sure. I mean, we already have Game 3 in the books, but right after this break will be Game 4.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins minor league.
Well, All Business go ahead and do it again this time around. They're keeping themselves up there, but it's definitely not out of the question for OTP to kind of keep pace with them to see if they're going to be able to kind of continue that. I liked the double flank, but unfortunately for them, it was not quite enough. And Nick, Timbermill, not Timbermill, how about Splitstone Quarry even falls the way of All Business.
Yeah, there's elements there of success, right? I think a lot of moments there, Angelina looks very good on the EV. There's a lot of moments, though, where you're watching this fight. And remember how it's an element of if they don't win, they just kind of lose. That also applies to not winning fast enough, right? Look at a lot of those replays, especially even in the first round. You're seeing the 0-0. You're seeing not a lot of action happening. And when there's not a lot of action happening, that's when you're actively losing with 3 DPS, right? That's when the Inara is getting this 70% over the top of you on the capture point. And then even if you win the fight after that, if they're ahead by 80%, did you really win?
Yeah, that's kind of been like, I mean, countless issues for countless teams, honestly. Yeah. Timing, even just controlling that objective, especially against Inara. That's the reason OTP won their Serpent Beach map. So we'll have to see whether or not this is going to be a deciding factor for this set, or if maybe that's going to get thrown to the wayside as we go and look at where we go next. And if it is Timbermill, then I'm clairvoyant. So it's not Frozen Guard is where we're going to go. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. I feel like I haven't seen Frozen Guard a ton lately, and I'm happy to see it come through.
I think you'd be right. This one in Frog Isle, for whatever reason, could just be us conspiracy theory in our own head, but I haven't seen this one too
No one
often.
likes it. Everyone's avoiding it.
The last time I remember seeing this in recent memory, at least in an impactful way, was when Fisheko ran Drogos here, and we were kind of like, I don't know about all of this. Like, that's definitely something I've never seen before, but it kind of working. And then that's sort of where we turned the page on Frozen Guard. It's received a decent amount of layout changes. Not too far in the past, pretty long time ago at this point, but not like super far, to where people are starting to kind of learn Frozen Guard to be a little bit different. Normally it's like everybody just used to contest the ice wall. That was really the only side of the map that people played on. But now you've got this again, not super recently, but reworked plateau area with a bunch of pillars, and it is kind of the only sort of semblance of high ground on Frozen Guard. It's very it's like jumpable high ground, but high ground nonetheless. And you got a guy like Fisheko just saying, you know, give me Drogos, I can make it work on a map that it's never really worked on before. We wouldn't expect it. It's been cool to see this map evolve a little bit.
Well, it's interesting to see all tank bans once again. Makoa Atlas on the one side, that usually falls to the second pick team. But Khan Ash banned away here for OTP. And Genos left open for the first time, I believe, this set.
I think this is where you grab it for OTP.
Nice Maeve, Barrack, Genos combo.
Go the 3 DPS, right? You're going to be pretty flexible.
You ready for this,
They're going to
Diggs?
grab Cassie.
Are you kidding?
Maybe
I was born
betting
ready.
on the fact that you don't love to have if Inara's kind of been your win condition. Not to say she's the sole win condition, but played a big part in that win on Splitstone.
Yeah.
Genos can't really juice her and abuse that fact that she is a huge healing sponge. Just doesn't have the cooldown, just doesn't have the burst healing to take advantage of that small window that she is healing amped. So where will Genos go? He's been banned so much in this set. And to see him survive this long in the draft is kind of crazy.
It's going to be Grover over here for all business. Willow notably still available. Not exactly the best Willow map, but as you were saying, with some things kind of opening up, teams are more willing to try things out. So there's still potentially that possibility to come through. Well, that gets taken off the board here, OTP. Lock in the Kinessa. Snipers have been very potent on this, not only for their defense, but their offense and their mid-fight. And after being banned all set, he comes in 5th pick for OTP.
Yeah, I don't know how he survived that long, but again, maybe a little bit of bluff calling that just comes back the way of OTP and all business saying that, we don't really want Genos here. We want our Grover. We want to be able to lean on Inara as a bit of a win condition. And outside of the Genos, these two compositions kind of stack very nicely toe-to-toe against each other.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the damage numbers start to compare. I think, Kinessa versus Strix becomes a lot more interesting when Kinessa's just hitting harder, not just because of her own talents, but now with this Luminary behind them. So it's going to be OTP. They have that little bit of damage amp. Can they tie this one up, or are all business going to run away with it?
Thank you guys so much for the cash adjust. Now, I remember back when I first got here, I was a little bit curious because I was like, well, Kinessa on Frozen Guard. That I never see that. But I think it was actually you that told me that it used to be a quite popular thing before it ended up changing how the scope works. How do you feel about Kinessa versus Strix now on this map?
It's tough. It's sniper duels on this map. It's kind of weird because you used to maybe early meta, they were just kind of trading out like behind the wall in front of mines. Like they were just spamming from mine to mine against each other, using the stealth brush that used to be next to the choke point, to do random things in these duels. But Kinessa Strix on this map is going to be interesting because I feel like they're not going to be trading into each other too much. I feel like they're going to be kind of playing out of each other's sights and trying to fight the other people.
Okay.
I wouldn't be shocked to see if one team tries to force the issue. But I think the best thing for the teams to do would be to try to play around each other and just focus the other members of the team. Because there's enough cover on this map, I feel, to make that work.
Yeah, I mean, I see Kinessa right here, really just trying to find her opening, but just the first shot she was actually able to hit. Her Sora rings true onto the Inara, but already with the DR, didn't do a lot of damage. She's having a little bit of a hard time trying to position herself in a way that would allow her really to fight, but a good presence and a good shot from Tutu. Just previously saw him on the con. Now he's flexing onto the DPS for Leon. Very, very good player. General Bugsy finds the first blood, though. So, I mean, that's already something looking good in the books of all business.
Yeah, for sure. Bugsy in this 1v1 on the side, and such a big advantage, I feel, to the Maeve in that duel. Nixus now pressuring on the right. And again, these snipers, they're just not matching each other at all.
Yeah.
Because they know it's just going to be a moot point, and they'd rather be helping their teams with other damage, with other kills. And now Tutu kind of playing on the side, avoiding this Kinessa. It really hasn't been able to do much other than force people behind cover, but with this pressure now, they might be able to retake this. Now the sniper duel happens, and it looks like Strix is getting the better of it. Forced to blink away is the Kinessa, and now Closar can retake this left side.
84% on the point already for all business, and I mean, really, Strix and this Leon are really just on the side. A good shot on the Genos, definitely going to force him to move out of the way. Whirlwind comes through to keep that Inara alive and juiced up so she can be ready to fight what it is that she needs to. A couple more good shots from Nixus, though. He's actually going to try and push in. Already gets healed all the way back up, not only thanks to the Luminary healing, but also, wow, it was Crackshot. Crackshot actually helped him get that kill in that case. Already a double kill for Closar. Man, oh man, that was very well done.
Slow mid-fight, but all business just find it in the end. A little bit of over-aggression from the Kinessa does get forced to blink away, and without that rotation potential, Strix charging up. I actually want to see his build if I can really quick, just to see if how high of Roost he's running. Actually not running Roost at all. So that the new rework card not being taken, now kind of opening things up a little bit for the rest of Strix's build. Now he can have some more rotation potential with that tactical retreat, but not enough to get him out of that peak. It is a 1-for-1, but defending Team OTP, they have the spawn advantage.
Yeah, I mean, they also had 2 minutes left. They just ended up capturing the point. The payload's already, it's pretty much like halfway there, so they're already in a good enough spot as it is. A good presence to try and stop Nixus in this case, but the good shot from him, Stop Me, finishes it off with the remaining health it was that 2-2 had left from a fully charged Knessa shot. And I mean, that was already looking good for them.
To be fair, most teams don't contest until it goes around that corner. There's actually used to be a strat where you're like, well, we're never going to get touched here, so we're just going to all 5-stack the cart just to get credits. It was like a way to just extend your lead even further. Not many teams do it now because I think some teams are willing to be a little bit more aggressive. They want to play the clock just a little bit harder, but doesn't really matter now. Unbi goes down contesting the cart. Defit goes down to a great shot from Closar, and I was going to say maybe this is still doable, but with the tank down, it's so tough. Toot's playing his cover the best he can, but he has to back away from that Knessa pressure.
Yeah, both. Strix is really just trying to get a good shot onto Dix's at this point, up on that bridge. Yeah, manages to land it, but a good headshot coming out from him. It's going to leave Strix literally at 1 HP. Sneeze on him, and he would end up dying at that point. Grover trying to heal him as best as he can, just not only with the AoE healing, but also just with his active healing as well. I mean, he's really just peeking around this corner. Of course, Defit's on ground level, throwing out daggers, trying to be a little bit more aggressive. But both teams are biding their time right now. No one's really committing to anything yet.
That's what happens when it's a sniper versus sniper. You know, they're going to play so tentatively because really just comes down to which one gets the first pick. And OTP is actually, I think, playing very smart right now. They're getting the surround set up. It's kind of how you want to play this triple DPS, denying angles, because it really is all about what you can get away with as little HP as you have. Barrett kind of forced out. Look how far behind Defit is playing. He's playing in these mines, almost going all the way behind them, but spotted out smartly by the Leon. Has to back up just a little bit. Bugsy, very, very aggressive. Might go down here. Both flankers very low, and Bugsy does go down in the end to Doodle.
Yeah, I mean, just really trying to blink up there and get some damage, but it's not going to be enough. Close aren't unbelievable, though. Open things up by also getting a double kill of their own. Now we're looking at sort of an even fight with defender's advantage for OTP. It's going to be a lot harder for All Business to really try and make this fight work for them, even with the picks it was that they got.
I really think Strix has a huge advantage here, just being able to constantly rattle off
They're
shots.
not on the cart.
It's getting really close. Their tank wasn't dead and not able to touch it. Through time and space, connects onto Xena, so healing out of the picture for All Business now. Inara's on the cart, going to go down very quickly, and they might have a chance to stall it out, but I think this fight's going to be over.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else it is. Yeah, 2-2 tries to go up to try and cause the overtime timer to reset, but it's not going to be enough for them to be able to stall it out long enough for their tanks to be able to make that way back. But, I mean, it was still good. I mean, they still played it pretty well.
Yeah, and they actually, I think he could have won that without Crackshot. I think he would have gotten that one more shot off just in time, but Crackshot definitely helping. A little bit of a bold seismic crash there just to establish his own dominance. And this is where I think the Strix is going to seem the strongest, just being able to constantly rattle off shots like this. It's not something Knessa can do. Knessa would have had to be in scope the whole time. Take a lot more time to get that same amount of damage. So Strix already paying dividends, even with Knessa 14K above him on the damage charts. I still think that the potential for Strix to find these kills on overextended players is so huge. 4 more kills than Nixus on the charts.
0-2 and 8 for Xenos, 5-1 and 2 for Closar. I mean, the slash lines are all looking pretty tasty on All Business' side. Meanwhile, OTP's not doing too bad either. Of course, it is still 1-1. A good sniper shot coming out from Closar, though. Gonna randomly fire, literally take a shot in the dark, and he gets the headshot. Was it the flare?
He had a flare. He had a flare.
Okay, right.
I know. I was about to say, like, if you're like super hyped about this, he absolutely could see where Defit was.
Okay, all right. Okay, I was about to say, I completely forgot because he didn't actually take.
You couldn't see the flare because of the darkness.
Oh,
well,
that's why.
Unauthorized use doesn't reveal, but he shot it, and the flare just disappeared into
That's
the void
what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I forgot he didn't take unauthorized use because normally we see that. He actually took crack shot. I didn't know that he could still see in darkness even with the flare.
Any reveal will work like that. That's why Cassie's scout manages to work. And All Business taking this in, seismic crash, but it's face tanked by the barrack, and now Unbi's going to go down.
2 individuals already on All Business are down, and with the Leon, of course. I mean, Bugsy goes down next. Pretty sufficient stagger as well. Strix is going to be respawning along with the Inara. We already have 2 teammates that are coming back. All Business trying to find their groove again. And really, even though it was an extremely good shot, I mean, Defit already applying this pressure. Tutu's in a bad spot. Tries to go for Nixus, but even if Nixus wouldn't have hit those shots, Defit was literally right behind him. Just wasn't a good spot for him to be in.
Great surround right now by Defit too, kind of putting on a lot of pressure very early. All Business might have wanted to contest, but lucky for them, Leon is there in the perfect position to keep him back, and Nix is now in these mines. Not somewhere you normally see Knessa, and it took Bugsy off guard too. He gets forced back, and All Business is about to be completely surrounded.
Yeah, I mean, we already see that both Nixus and Defit are in these mines, really trying to find their opening here, or really just trying to get a good couple pokes just like that. Finds the kill on the 2-2, going to teleport his way out of there. Whirlwind to come through to try and keep those healings through the mines and everything, and also keep everybody a little bit more alive. But the fact that Unbelievable went down means that that's why he canceled it and backed off with Bind Grip.
Yeah, just one last second there. Nyx is finding Closar backing up off the damage from Defit. Still very high aggression here. This area up top is really important on this map. Defit tries to contest it, but knows the respawns are there. Very smart repositioning by him. And OTP in a great position. They have Midnight. They have everyone mostly surrounded. They could go in for an execute once this cart gets close enough.
I mean, they have the Prowl once again. The daggers are coming through. It's going to be a little bit of extra damage, but Defit's already looking pretty low. But thanks to Genos, that Luminary buff, that's going to play a very, very big role as well. One of the daggers going all the way up high in the sky, through time and space as well. Closar gets the snipe, but so does Surret's in this case. But both of them are so low. Tutu tries to go in. They do get the kill on Surret's, forces him out from behind that cover. Closar finishes him off. Onzadoodle as well goes down thanks to Closar's sniper, but Nyx has had a good eye on him. Finds the kill on the returning fire on that sniper. Stop Me finds one on the 2-2. That's going to be looking at a 2-for-2 right now. OTP trying to find their way back to the point.
Headhunter used a little bit too liberally by Nyxus there, I feel. They already down a couple picks. Even if they do find one or two more, the spawns are going to come in, I think, to buy a little bit too much time. So now no Headhunter up if they want to really try to turn this objective capture. And All Business are in a good place. Stop Me in an interesting little position in the corner of this cabin, healing off of his turret just in case he needs to. But for now, things are going to be slow. Just trading poke back and forth as they tend to be with a sniper. But OTP is going to try to get a little bit of ground. They have Leon very low and Eevee low as well, so they can take a lot of this room. And Stop Me coming in, I don't know if he'd be afraid to use the Dome Shield here. I think they could do it to buy a little bit of time, and he might pop it right now, potentially, once the shield goes down. Yeah,
I mean, Bugsy does find the kill on the Nyxus, so they're already being able to really try and push their advantage in favor of red, but Onzadoodle being able to even that up with a good couple crossbow bolts. Finding one of the 2-2 as well is going to be enough, but Surret's goes down. Their healer's gone, but with Onzadoodle already getting as many kills as he is, I don't think All Business is going to be able to really try and contest this. A Quadra flips right around, gets the good flick off, and actually managed to kill Closar as well.
And actually, the trigger discipline there from Stop Me was huge. Not using, I was like, I would have Dome Shielded. I mean, I would have been scared enough to try to buy time, but he just held it in, and they managed to turn that. They still have Scout and Dome Shield coming up for this fight, and every other ultimate is getting there. Only that, for All Business' sake, only Whirlwind used, even if it was in kind of a bad position, but they still have Flashbang, Enlightenment, and Seismic Crash, but none of those other than Seismic Crash are really world-changing ultimates.
Right, yeah. I mean, the Ice Storm is up, Flashbang, of course, is up. Seismic Crash and Enlightenment are up on All Business' side as well. So they got 4 ults, but really around this time is probably when everyone's just going to start throwing everything onto the point, especially for OTP. They want to be able to even this one up and not give All Business a chance to really try and fight back or claw their way back up from the hole they're in.
OTP also have caught 3 on all of their DPSs, so Whirlwind is basically not going to do much of anything now. Very aggressive take on the right side by All Business, kind of going across this wall, and they know they have to use their ultimates fast, and Seismic Crash comes in, but no one's willing to follow up on it.
That's pretty big, though.
They dive on Unbe, and they don't get anything from it.
Xenot's getting Surret's was huge, but following that up immediately with 2 other kills, another good, well-placed axe coming out from Bugsy is going to be a lot, too. Blinks in to make sure he can try and 1v1 this Cassie and juiced him just a little bit, applying the pressure. Cassie's a little bit too scared to actually try and peek her way back out, going to try and roll back in, but I mean, they're not going to be able to really make it to the point. They already dismounted the barrack. He's going to try and slide in there, but it's not going to be enough, clearly, as they do manage to capture the point.
Comeback is just a little bit too strong, and Unbe actually might be able to get away. Great positioned wall by him. Manages to get out and will be able to get rehealed and get a little bit more ult charge for Xenost in the process. Actually, probably should have stopped his out-of-combat healing, give Xenost more healing, but what do I know? 2-2 now, got a great presence pick onto Nyxus, and All Business have total control of this outside.
Yeah, I mean, Bugsy really just waited to see if anyone steps a little bit far forward or finds his opening just like right there. Dodge roll, he tried to predict it. He shot it a little bit up, tried to make sure he can at least get the kill on the Cassie. Doesn't find it though, but he did try and predict where he was trying to dodge roll too. Of course, he's just going to be trying to find those openings and get those shots off, but man, Closar was literally zoomed in a little bit too much. Nyxus took the opportunity, found the shot, and that's definitely looking good for a one-trick pony, especially with the 3 kills that are already coming up in their name.
Yeah, now they're just going to go in for the stagger here. They actually, I thought Defit was going to die, and he does end up dying there, but on the defense, it's not really as big of a deal. Bugsy goes down staggered too, and OTP, I could see them taking this pretty forward. They can kind of spread across this mid and just, again, play the clock by a little bit more time. Doodle pretty forward, misses, unfortunately, the disengage to knock the Strix off the map, so they're going to back up and give up some room, and thankfully don't give up any picks for it for their sake, so OTP now settling back into the very strong defensive position that you take on this map with that high ground. It can take them a while to get back up there. So all business have a chance to move in, find someone as they back up, but they're playing, again, with snipers, just a little bit sensitive.
Ooh. Yeah, Stop Me ends up getting the kill on the 2-2. The Leon's already done, but the big game damage is going to be on its way onto Anara, but the rest of the team of all business are making sure that Kazli doesn't get a couple good free shots onto that Anara, but they are pressuring. My goodness, they're all in there, the wall, to make sure they can stay engaged in this fight, but they're really losing it. Unbelievable goes down. Closar, Bugsy, 3 of them gone out of this small little engagement they had right there. A 4th one in the name of Xenos also gets picked off, and I mean, it looked like it was going to be a good engage for them, but it wasn't enough.
I think they're getting flanked right now, and they don't know it. There's someone on the mountain. I didn't see who it was that is behind them right now. It was Leon, actually.
Oh, it was Leon.
And okay, and actually 2-2 goes a little bit too early. Just a small disconnect from all business makes things so much harder than they have to be. They could have had a great pinch, but everyone else was just getting slowed down too much. All business now basically no chance whatsoever to touch. Bugsy makes his presence known in the back line too, so he's most likely going to go down in a 1v1 back there, but everyone is peeling back to stop him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he also was able to stall just for a little bit, but it wasn't enough to cause that overtime timer to work. Both Bugsy and 2-2 traded themselves out, find themselves a kill, so does Closar, but of course it's already at the end of the round. They were able to defend successfully, but OTP on defense, you can't end up winning the game off of defending extremely well, so it is still up 3-2. All business still have a chance of making this comeback. They have all their ultimates on too.
Yeah, they definitely have a chance to do this. The start of that mid-fight last time was actually really good. Very aggressive seismic crash, and I thought Unbe was going to pay for it with his life, but the rest of the team, the Strix, Grover, long-range pressure was just too much for OTP to overcome. I don't think that's going to work again, though. I mean, if OTP are as adaptable of a team as they should be at this level, shouldn't be able to just get walked at and ulted on like that before. I could see them maybe either contesting the right side or buying just a little bit more time distance-wise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Barrick's making his way back to the point in this case. Of course, he is standing directly onto it. He's going to make sure that he's just going to try and do his job. Seismic Crash, though, the rest of them are going to try and follow up. They're dumping all the ultimates now for sure. Whirlwind to make sure they can actually capitalize on the opportunity. That Barrick's pretty much by himself. He does get 2-2, but Closar finds one on Nix's through time and space to try and snipe somebody, but it doesn't find anyone.
Yeah, Dome Shield on the point just to buy time because the rest of his team is kind of going down, but Unbe able to contest and even actually get 4% right in his face when he was kiting around there at the end. Doodle maybe a little bit too forward here, but Midnight's going to make things a lot harder for all business. Bugsy cleanses it. Doodle might not know that on the right side. He might rush this fight, get a little bit too forward.
I mean, Bugsy definitely trying to find his opening here. He is trying to fire from all different sorts of angles, which is exactly what you would see Evie do, trying to juke people, do what she can. 82% for all business, that's for sure. The flashbang is there, and so is the Enlightenment. Hasn't been used yet, but oh, nice dodge, nice movement coming out. Well, nice movement coming out from Bugsy in this case.
Oh, we shouldn't have reminded you. Oh, it's going to happen all day now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now we're back to my saying all the time. No, I'm just joking. 2-2 finds the double kill, though, in this case. And really, the daggers are coming out from the fifth, but it's not going to be able to find any kill. In this case, Xenos does get it. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left on the clock. They just captured it, and all business looks like they could actually win this.
Triple DPS versus triple DPS. We normally talk about how it scales into the late game versus regular 2-tank, 2 DPS, but
yeah.
As it goes on, the team that has the worst scaling point tank is absolutely one trick pony that Barrick, as these wreckers get online, will not be able to sustain really at the same level of an Inara Grover. Grover gets countered by Cauterize a little bit harder, but Inara doesn't really have that. Right. I mean, I guess she has Bulldozer, but what a great flank from Defit. They're just not watching mines, and he walks right in and gets Closar. Yeah,
I mean, they all were grouped up in that main little hallway right there. Defit looks like he's coming back for more as the Prowl comes through. He's throwing out the daggers, misses 4 of them, but it's all right because he still has a chance. He is in the mines. No one's really watching. Now they're looking for him, but he's already in a good enough spot for that to not matter.
Yeah, sure. He's just going to back up on the side, and hopefully all business can be a little bit more cognizant of that flank. They don't want to let them in like this, and they can maybe play for this round. You can actually see Bugsy kind of baiting it. If I were all business, I would just pretend like I do not care about the mines right now, and looks like it might work. That Ice Storm is also going to cancel the damage reduction. They lost 2-2, but losing to Fit, I think, for OTP is huge.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, good job from Bugsy, good awareness. I mean, they realized they made a mistake in the mines, definitely corrected that with the Ice Storm to be able to get the kill onto Defit, onto that Mei if he wasn't expecting it. Seismic Crash to come through along with the Scout. Closar goes down, though. That's going to be pretty huge because that means there's just a free-firing sniper onto the rest of all business. Seismic Crash came through, but it wasn't going to be enough to start that engage, especially since Closar ended up going down.
The perfect timing of the Scout by Doodle, too, to counter out the Seismic Crash as a win, and he literally used that, like, the frame that thing hit his feet, and it just barely kept him up. OTP, again, not trying to get too forward. They weren't already forward, so they don't want to kind of push their advantage harder than they need to, especially since it's game point. You know, if they do go a little bit too forward, that card is close enough where if All Business get a good zone, if they get that high ground control by their spawn, it could just be over. Nixus knows that too. He's going to play kind of slow here. Maeve getting very low on the side, but just barely gets out at the last second.
That's for sure. Of course, Strix waiting around this corner right here. Of course, trying to make sure he can keep an eye on as many people as he possibly can. 10 seconds left pretty much on the clock. A good snipe coming out from Nixus isn't enough to kill him, but is definitely good enough to make sure that he can land some damage on him. A good headshot coming out from Closar is going to be enough to cause Stop Me to stop. He did it. He completed the objective. He stopped him.
It was a request, and they answered.
It was. Yeah, he did. He answered in just the perfect way by making sure that he actually got that kill. They actually do go down as well, and All Business actually net that for their team.
Honestly, I think that's on the back of that point tank conversation we were having before. Yeah. They're kind of going against each other. What tank barely survives? It's Inara. And the Strix pressure picks off Stop Me. No contest on the cart. The DPS is kind of panicked. Maybe they could have given it a little bit more time, but immediately flips and All Business just convert right then and there off that.
I mean, it was extremely hard for them to really try and find an opening. You made a good point, which I think is always true whenever it is you're bringing out these shield tanks. They don't scale as well into the later into the later portions of the game, which is why they're able to steamroll that. A good headshot from Closar definitely was more than enough for them to be able to try and win that.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just really good by him, I think, on the Strix. Leaving those mines open was kind of hard against Defit. I felt like Defit was taking all the openings he had, and their damage was pretty overwhelming. I mean, Stop Me ended up out damaging Defit. I think kind of just a side effect of constantly trading into the Inara all game, but...
Look how much damage he took.
Yeah, wait, the damage taken for
damage taken. No, for Unbelievable.
Wow, almost 200k
yeah,
soaked up by the Inara. And still, when we look at the slash lines, we can find out if it was less deaths than the other tank, and only 3 more with that much more damage taken. And again, that's that advantage of the late game scaling for the triple DPS. You want to be able to win those late game fights just a little better. And I think One Trick Pony were playing their defenses really well, kind of padded their slash lines just a little bit, but All Business just knew how to get the takes, and they started winning those mid-fights decisively off of their ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that a little bit earlier in Penta's set. I mean, literally the set right before this, of course, it was literally 2-0, just like how this set started, and then it was 3-1, and they slowly made their way all the way back up to the top. And I mean, it was just good, solid Paladins right there.
And I was actually happy to see the Strix, I think, after the changes. No Roost in the build anymore, so a little bit more vulnerable, but Closar, I mean, he played it well. These players are used to it at this point, and Strix is still going to be good. I mean, the potential damage he has if you hit all his shots at this level, you're going to see it. These are the players who can actualize that potential as it goes on, and especially, I think, into the sniper and the flanker that came out from One Trick Pony. It was so easy for him to confirm those shots. Even without Roost, I think Strix still wins the trades into the Kinessa.
Yeah, I mean, and he definitely did. I mean, you saw a lot of those good shots it was that he had. Of course, he was only peeking out, taking those shots when he needed to. Didn't want to overextend for too much unless they just found the opportunity to get extremely aggressive. And I like that. I do like that. I think the inclusion of having his flashbang be up so common now is definitely can play a huge role into it.
It's pretty fun, too. I think I want to see some more flashbang kills, because that's always the funniest. You're like, all right, they're blind. Oh, he just fell over behind that wall. All right, cool. Fine with me. I'll take that.
Whoa. It was an amazing set overall throughout this entire game, and it's been really, really cool. But, of course, we got to throw it right back to the desk.
If we start seeing more flashbang kills, then I hope we get like a flashbang montage. I want a like quick scope flashbang Strix montage.
Yeah, phase up, y'all.
Phase up. You got to be able to go through with it. I think it'd be fun to see, but as of right now, All Business, they might not be giving us the exact montage, but they did give us a win here in Europe.
Yeah, just through solid team fighting ability, right? Nobody's really blown anyone out of the water. I think Closar probably got the closest to that at 16-8 or whatever he was on Strix. But everybody else was like even or negative for the most part on All Business. That was a tough like first half of that game. And we've seen a good couple of that today. It's funny how that trend has sort of flowed throughout these European games. Eventually, All Business find a way to put it together and win in a later game.
And just being able to kind of keep control here. It was, once One Trick Pony got that one win, I kind of had that seed of doubt planted in my mind where I'm just like, do they like get their second win against All Business? Like for some reason,
weird,
One Trick Pony is like the kryptonite to All Business,
Yeah.
and they're the only ones who can do it. But as it is right now, All Business continue their streak forward and kind of continue climbing in the ranks.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that while we take a look at the EU standings. This is still a top seed versus bottom seed map. or matchup, excuse me. This is still not what you would really expect. You would again, it was that first and only win for One Trick Pony much earlier on in the phase, but at this point where All Business has really started to solidify themselves as the premier force in the European minor league, to see One Trick Pony not only take that map, but frankly push on and put a lot of pressure on All Business on the other three as well, that says a lot about the competitiveness of the European minor league.
I mean, just being able to kind of keep it 17 maps, separate those two teams when you look at the plus minus, and it is the 5 sets overall, but it really does come down to I think those small little details. Penta now kind of solidly in second for a little bit. Between them, All Business, Sour Team, and admittedly One Trick Pony, who I think this week have kind of reinstated themselves in the conversation. Yeah. The fight for first, like, All Business have a good lead, but they really need to stay ahead of the curve, otherwise they are going to get knocked down.
Not out of the woods yet by any means. Only a couple of maps separate them. We've seen all kinds of standings, right? Win-losses that are, and this is kind of one of them, 6-1, but not that far ahead in the map differential. So if anything, it's really that win-loss that is giving them the biggest cushion. But we've also seen, like, even in some of the console leagues, right? Very close win-loss, but in terms of the map, there's like a 15 map differential. So the map differential is there in case a tiebreaker needs to happen, but the win-loss column is still the most important.
Well, they are right now still winning in the win-loss, 6-1 for them, so they stay further ahead in Europe, but that's only half of the day so far. North America is still going to be coming up. Hype Unit and Sanguine is the next set, and we're going to be jumping right to that after this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins minor league.